Hello po, sir. Ako nga po pala si Jude Manaliod. So, ang napili ko pong lesson ay itong chapter 1. So, parang umpisa nyo na po. In 1983 daw, si Card Moran at saka si Newell described the model human processor, simplified view of the human processing involved in interacting with computer system, which is MHP. Yung MHP daw comprises by three subsystem. Ito yung perceptual system, motor system, and cognitive system. Ano nga ba yung tatlong yun? So yung perceptual system, this is the system that responsible for gathering information from external environment through our senses, primarily vision and hearing. So ito yung responsable sa pag-gather ng information gamit yung ating vision sa mata at saka sa tenga, yung hearing. So it converts this information into a format that cognitive system can understand. The perceptual system as its own processor and memory, which could temporary representation of perceived stimuli. So the next one is motor system. This is ito yung responsible for translating cognitive system instruction into a physical actions, such as typing, clicking, and dragging. It also has its own processor and memory, which control the execution of these actions. The next is cognitive system. This is the central processing unit of the MHP. It is the responsible for planning and decision making and problem solving and higher cognitive functions. So si cognitive, siya yung responsible dun sa decision making at saka problem solving and higher level cognitive functions nung dalawa. So next tayo sa input-output channels. Sa input-output channels, interaction with the computer, the human input is data output by the computer, vice versa. Input in human occurs mainly through the senses of output through the motor controls and effectors. So sa input-output channels, meron tayong tatlong most important senses. Ito yung vision, hearing, and touch. And meron tayong limang primary effectors, which is ito yung fingers, voice, eyes, head, and body positions. So visual perception can be divided in two stages. So vision is a critical for human-computer interaction as it's how we perceive and interact with the digital world. Here's a quick overview of key points. The stages of vision, which is physical reception. Ito yung light is captured by the cornea and lens, focusing it onto the retina. So, retina, ito yung nagko-contain sunlight, pero nagko-contain sunlight sensitive cells na merong rods. Ito yung excellent for low light vision but color sensitive. And yung cones provide color vision and sharp detail perception but less sensitive to light. So yung pangalawang stage is processing and interpretation. The brain interprets signals from the retina from the visual image. So dito po papasok si size and depth, visual angle, brightness, color perception, and context and expectation. So, in reading process, meron tayong visual perception. Ito yung identifying the words, visual patterns, decoding, matching the pattern to internal language representation, processing, understanding the words meaning in context, eye movements, saccades, and fixation during reading. Regression, backwards eye movements more frequent with complex text. So yung next is yung hearing. The ear receives vibration on the air and transmits them through various stages to the auditory nerves. Hearing plays this significant role in human-computer interaction, particularly in the realm of audio feedback and audio interfaces. So this is the anatomy of the ear. The ear responsible for hearing can be divided into three main sections. So first one is outer ear. Dito papasok si pinna, which is the visible part of the ear that collects the sound wave. And second, si auditory canal, a narrow passageway that channels sound waves towards the eardrum. Then si middle ear, nandito si tympanic membrane or which is eardrum. Thin membrane that vibrates in response to sound waves. And si ossicles, three tiny bones which is malleus, incus, and stapes that amplify the vibration of the eardrum. And si inner ear, andito si cochlea, a snail-shaped structured filled with the fluid and lined with the cilia hair cells. Auditory nerve send electrical signals generated by cilia to the brain. So this is the hearing process. Una, si sound waves, vibration in the air travels to the auditory canal and cause the eardrums to vibrate. Second is the amplification. The ossicles in the middle ear amplify the vibration of the eardrum. Third, fluid waves. The vibration are transmitted to fluid in the cochlea, creating waves. Hair cell stimulation. The waves bend the cilia and the cochlea, releasing chemical transmitters. Fifth, auditory nerve impulses the chemical transmitters trigger electrical impulses in the auditory nerve. And lastly, brain processing. The brain interprets the electrical signal as sound. Okay. Meron tayong meron tayong tatlong characteristics of sound, which is frequency and pitch. Human can hear sound waves with frequencies ranging from 20 Hz low to 15 kHz high. Pitch is perceived highness or lowness of the sound, and it is directly related to its frequency. Higher frequency are perceived as higher pitches. The other sound characteristics is loudness or amplitude corresponds to the amplitude of the sound waves and is perceived as volume. Timbre, the quality or tone of a sound, independent of frequency and amplitude that distinguish it from another sounds. So, next tayo sa touch. Touch, the apparatus of touch, haptic perception is not localized. Stimuli received through the skin, which contains various types of sensory receptors, mechanoreceptors responding to pressure are important in HCCI. So touch and kinesthesis play a vital role in human-computer interaction, particularly in context of haptic interfaces and wearable technologies. So sa touch, meron tayong receptors. The skin contains various receptors that convert mechanical stimuli, pressure and vibration into electrical signals. Then mechanoreceptors, these are receptors specifically are crucial in HCCI. One is rapidly adapting or RA, responding to immediate pressure changes but not sustained pressure. And second is slowly adapting or SA, respond to both initial pressure and sustained pressure. So, for example, meron tayong imagine meron tayong touchscreen interface with haptic feedback. Tapos when you tap the screen, RA mechanoreceptors in the fingertip will be stimulated, providing a brief and sharp sensation of contact. Ito yung yung nagbibigay sa atin ng immediate feedback na nag nagko-kumpirma na yung daliri natin has made contact with the screen. However, as you continue to hold your finger on the screen, the RA mechanoreceptors will adapt and become less sensitive. So dito papasok na si SA, which is si slowly adapting mechanoreceptors. So they take over and provide the sustained sensation of pressure, allowing you to feel a virtual button or slider you are interacting. This combination of RA and SA mechanoreceptor stimulation creates realistic intuitive haptic experience. Then the second is kinesthesis or proprioception. Meron tong joint receptors, sense the position of movement of the body parts, types, and then we have types, which is ito nga yung rapidly adapting or RA, respond to movement direction. Slowly adapting or SA, respond to both movement and static position. And lastly, positional receptors, respond only to static position. So, example ng kinesthetic receptors, example in VR. Imagine we are using a VR headset. As you tilt your head, the neck muscle responds to RA, translating movement to the virtual world. As you reach for a virtual object, arm muscles provide feedback or SA about your arm's position and angle enabling precise movements. Finally, static postures, positional receptors help maintain your balance in virtual environment. These receptors combine realistic and immersive VR experience. And next are movement. When making movements, a stimulus is received through the sensory receptors and transmitted to the brain. After processing, the brain tells the appropriate muscle to respond. The movement time is dependent on the physical characteristic of subjects. So, understand how humans move interact with the physical world is crucial for designing effective user-friendly interfaces. So, here's a brief overview of key points. Movement process. Ito yung stimulus, sensory receptors, receive information about environment. Transmission, second, sensory nerves transmit the information to the brain. Third, processing, the brain interprets the information and determines the appropriate response. And lastly, the motor response, the brain sends signals to the muscle to execute the chosen movement. Okay, for example, si stimulus, kunyari, nakakita ka ng isang baso ng coffee sa harap mo. Ay si stimulus. Ngayon si transmission, sensory receptors in your eyes detect the light reflecting of the cup and send signals to the optic nerve to your brain. So siya yung magiging transmission mo, then your brain recognizes the cup was as a familiar object and determines you to want to reach for it and drink the coffee. Doon na papasok si processing. And after nun, lastly, si motor response, your brain sends signal to the muscle in your arm, hand, and fingers to move in a coordinate way to pick to pick up the cup. So, tendency, you will reach the cup and you will grasp it, you will reach the cup, kukunin mo, hawakan mo, kukunin mo, then iinumin mo. Next is Pitt's law. Pitt's law predicts the time required to reach the. Where's the Pitt's law here? Pitt's law, which is commonly written as movement time is equal to a plus b, logarithm 2, distance is equal to size plus 1. So Pitt's law predicts the time required to reach the target based on its size and distance. Yun nga, formulated as movement time is equal to a plus b, logarithm 2, distance divided by distance is equal to size plus 1. And helps designers optimize interfaces elements for fast and accurate user interaction. So, example for Fitts law. Meron tayong button na i-click. Now, ang unang scenario natin, yung target size ng icon natin is malaki. So, target size natin is malaki, kunyari, for example, 2 centimeter diameter. And distance to target is close to your fingertip. Example is 5 centimeter. So, according to Fitts law, the time it takes you tap the desired icon will relatively fast and accurate due to large target size and close proximity. So, ibig sabihin, mas accurate yung pagpindot mo doon sa button kasi mas malaki yung button tsaka mas malapit yung daliri mo. Then, yung second scenario is yung target size natin is small icon naman. So, 1 cm diameter, distance target far from your fingertip, which is 10 centimeter. So, in this case, mas mahirap siya pindutin kasi nga, mas maliit, tapos mas malayo yung daliri mo. Then, next is human memory. Human memory. We can distinguish 3 types of memory. First is sensory, second is short-term, and third is working memory or long-term memory. Sensory memories act as buffers for stimuli received through each of the senses. So, iconic memory for vision, echoic for memory for sounds, and haptic for touch. So, sensory memory serve as temporary buffer information through our senses before being transferred to short-term memory. It exists in 3 primary forms. So, ayun nga, iconic memory holds visual information for a very short duration, around 250 milliseconds. And echoic memory holds auditory information for about 3 to 4 seconds, enabling us to comprehend the flow of the speech and identity sounds in our environment. And next, haptic memory holds tactile information for a brief period, allowing us to perceive textures, shapes, and pressure to our skin. Okay. For example, para sa ating sensory memory. Imagine, you are reading a book. As your eyes scan across each line, the text, as your eyes scan across each line of text, iconic memory allows you to hold a brief of visual image of the words you just read. Then, however, without echoic memory, you wouldn't be able to grasp the meaning of the sentence. As you read each word, echoic memory holds onto the sound of the words uttered in your head for a few seconds. And finally, as you turn your page, you feel the texture of the paper against your fingertips. Haptic memory registers registers the sensation of for the registers the sensation for a brief moment. So next is short-term memory. Okay. STM is used to store information which is only required fleetingly. STM can be accessed rapidly, however, also decays rapidly. It has limited capacity. Miller started as 7 plus or -2 rule, which means that humans can store 5 to 9 chunks of information. So short-term memory, also known as, ay, ito pala si ano pala ang working memory. Si short-term memory. Sorry. So si short-term memory, siya yung ating working memory, plays a crucial role in our daily lives. It serves as a temporary storage for information. So here are some of the key points about STM. So yung function niya is holds information for a short period of time around 15 to 30 seconds unless actively rehearsed, and supports ongoing cognitive tasks like reasoning, decision making, and comprehension. So ayun nga, yung capacity niya is limited to 7 plus or 2 items according to Miller's law. So example lang ng short-term memory. Yung phone number na lang siguro. Pag kinukuha, 'di ba, kunyari, for example, kinukuha natin yung phone number ng isang tao. After na siguro after 15 seconds, 30 seconds, nakakalimutan natin yung buong number. Kumbaga, nakakalimutan natin yung information na yun. Kaya siya tinatawag na short-term memory. Then, yung long-term memory, long-term memory or LTM differs from STM in a various ways. It has unlimited capacity, slow access time, and forgetting occurs more slowly or not at all. Information is stored here from STM through rehearsal. So long-term memory or LTM forms the foundation of our knowledge and experience. Unlike short-term memory, LTM has a vast and potential limitless capacity, allowing us to store information for extended periods of time or even a lifetime. So there are two types of long-term memory. Yung una ay episodic memory. It stores personal experiences and events in a chronological order. Then second is semantic memory. Holds a general knowledge about the world, including facts, concepts, skills, and rules. Example of episodic memory and semantic memory. Episodic memory, imagine you're calling the details of imagine you're recalling the details of your last birthday. Yun nga. Nire-recall natin yung last birthday natin. Kung sino yung anong araw yon, kung anong lugar, kung sino yung kasama, kung sino yung mga tao pumunta, kung ano yung cake, kung ano yung laro, kung ano yung mga nilaro nyo. And kung ano may mga pinag-usapan. So, pinag-usapan nyo. So, doon papasok si episodic memory. The semantic memory naman, for example, meron nag-solve tayo na math, then nare-recall natin yung concept na multiplication or multiplication tables. So, naalala natin yung kung ano yung order ng operation, kung paano sagutan si multiplication and the order of the operation. This knowledge of facts, rules, and skills is an example of semantic memory. And next is thinking. So thinking, meron tayong dalawa, reasoning and problem solving. So kay reasoning tayo. Reasoning. Reasoning is the process by which we use knowledge we have to draw conclusion or infer something new about the domain of interest. So reasoning is a fundamental cognitive process that allows us to use our existing knowledge to draw new conclusion and make informed decisions. So there are three main types of reasoning. So una is si deductive reasoning. Yung definition nito is derives a logically necessary conclusion from a set of established premises. So, for example, yung major premise natin is all dogs are mammals. Then, minor premise is may pet is a dog. So, conclusion, therefore, may pet is a mammal. Then, sa inductive reasoning, draws a general conclusion from specific observation. So, for example, I have seen, yung observation natin is, I have seen red apples. Pero, yung conclusion natin, yung karamihan lang sa mga apples ay kulay red. Meron tayong makikita kulay green. Ay. So next is abductive reasoning. The definition nito is infers the most likely explanation of an observed event or phenomenon. So example, yung observation natin is may narinig tayo na basag na salamin. And nakita natin na narinig tayo at may nakita tayo na basag na salamin na sa lapag. Ngayon, ang conclusion natin, pwedeng baso na laglag or natumbang salamin, nalaglag na salamin, kung ano pa mang babasagin. The next is problem solving. Problem solving is the process of finding a solution to an unfamiliar taste using adapting and knowledge we have. So there are different views of problem solving. Ano ba yung una? Una is Gestalt theory. Ano ba yung Gestalt theory states that problem solving is both productive and reproductive. Insight is indeed to solve the insight is needed to solve a problem. However, this theory has not been accepted as sufficient. So ano nga ba for example, sa Gestalt, a person is trying to assemble a complicated IKEA furniture piece but is missing its instruction. So ang naging solution, the person suddenly realized na kaya niyang ayusin yung furniture na yun sa ibang paraan. Depende kung ano yung pagkakaintindi niya ayusin yung furniture na yun. And typically works leading to an aha. So moment and successful assembly. So ang explanation is the person does not rely on explicit instruction but instead utilize their general knowledge and spatial reasoning to solve the problem creatively. Then second is problem space. What is problem space? Problem space comprises problem states and problem solving, involves generating these states using state transition operators. So for example, ang problem natin naman is a computer needs to find shortest path through a maze. So ang solution is the program uses a state space search algorithm to explore all possible paths through the maze, evaluating each state based on the distance and the goal. Distance to the goal. The program iteratively applies legal operators such as moving forward, turning left, turning right to transition between states until it reach the goal state. So, ang explanation naman dun is, this example demonstrate the concept of problem space and use operators to navigate through it. And next is an analogy and mapping, or analogy, use of analogy. Problems are solved by mapping knowledge relating to similar known domain to a new problem analogical mapping. So, kunyari, may another problem. A doctor is diagnosing a patient with a rare disease. So, the solution is the doctor recalls a similar case they encountered previously and draws parallels between the symptoms and the medical history of the both patients. So, ang explanation para dito is, this example showcase that the power of analogical mapping in the problem solving by applying knowledge from familiar domain, the previous case, to the new problem, the current patient. By the doctor can make more informed decisions and potentially arrive faster and more accurate diagnosis. So, next tayo, nasa skill acquisition. Skill acquisition, the skill acquisition expert opens have a better encoding of knowledge. Information structures are one tuned at the deep level of enabling efficient and accurate retrieval. According to ATC model, these skills are acquired through 3 levels. So, ano yung mga 3 levels na yan? So, level 1 is general purpose. So, at this initial stage, the learner relies on a general purpose rules and principles to approach the task. These rules are often broad and context independent, requiring significant cognitive effort to apply and interpret in the specific situations. So, ang example is, merong chess player na baguhan. So, ang alam niya lang is protektahan yung king and kontrolin yung gitna, yung center ng board. Pero di niya alam without fully understanding the nuances of different strategic positions. So next is level 2, proceduralization. As a learner gains experience, they transition to developing task-specific rules through proceduralization. So for example, a chess player pero meron na experience na. Nakadevelop siya ng paulit-ulit ng opening moves and tactical patterns, allowing them to respond specific situations with a greater speed and accuracy. Then yung level 3 is generalization. At the expert level, the acquired knowledge becomes finely tuned and generalized. So, example ulit. Another chess player, grandmaster. Kumbaga, can effortlessly analyze the complex position, identify subtle patterns, and make strategic decision based on their deep understanding of the game. So next is errors and mental models. There are different types of errors. Change in context of skill behavior can cause errors. An incorrect understanding or model of situation can cause errors too, because humans tend to create mental models based on experience which may differ from actual situation. So, understanding errors and mental models is crucial for designing user-friendly and efficient interfaces. So here's the exploration of these concepts and their significance in HCI. Types of error, yun nga, yung context-dependent errors, changes in environment or unexpected situation can lead to errors even for skilled individuals. And second is mental model errors. Incorrect mental model errors, which are individually represents how a system works, can cause errors. So, example, imagine merong user na who is accustomed to using a specific text editor. And the user expects na yung keyboard shortcuts is nagpe-perform ng specific actions such as Control S for saving the document. Pero in a new text, sa bagong text editor, yung Control S may be assigned as a different function. Pwedeng screenshot. Basta kumbaga, do sa ibang text editor na yun, iba yung function ni Control S, causing the user to unintentionally perform an unexpected action and potentially lose their work. And next is emotion. Emotion involves both physical and cognitive events. How our body responds biologically to an external stimulus, and we interpret that in some way as particular emotion. So emotion plays a significant and often overlooked role in human-computer interaction. It goes beyond the physical and cognitive aspects of interaction, influencing how users perceive, interpret, and respond to technology. So, meron tayong dual nature of emotion. Ito yung physical. Emotions trigger physiological changes like heart rate, breathing, and muscle tension. These changes prepare our bodies for action, either approaching or avoiding the perceived situation. So, the second is cognitive. We interpret these physical changes and assign them meaning, resulting in specific emotional states like happiness, sadness, or fear. Example, yung enjoyment, a user playing visually appealing and engaging. A user playing a visually appealing, kumbaga maganda, and engaging game might experience enjoyment, enhancing their emotion and engagement with the technology. And the second, anxiety, a user facing a time-sensitive task and in a poorly designed interface might experience anxiety, hindering their performance and decision-making. Next is individual differences. The principle and properties discussed apply to the majority of people, but humans are not the same. So, the principles and properties discussed apply to the majority of the people, but humans are not all the same. Differences should be taken into account in the design divides the user targets for group or example. So, dito, meron tayong target groups, divide users based on relevant characteristics like age, expertise, or culture, and so on. Personalization, offer options to customize the interface and content for individual preferences. Next is guidelines. General design principles and guidelines is straightforward or complex, can have been derived from the above discussed theories. So imagine designing a fitness app for people of all ages and fitness levels. Here's how you can apply the HCI principles and guidelines mentioned above. So yung usability niya, yung accessibility and additional guidelines. Then yung sunod is model to support. Psychological analysis has led to the development of analytic and predictive models of user behavior. So models to support, imagine designing a new music streaming app. And here's how you could apply various models to improve the user experience. So, meron tayong GOMS model, bit slow, X slow, normal stages of action, Nielsen heuristics. Then, yung lastly, yung last topic natin is techniques for evaluation. So, psychology provides a range of empirical techniques which can be employed to evaluate designs and systems. So, for techniques for evaluation, imagine we develop a new learning app designed to students. Designed to help students learn foreign language. Here's how we can apply different psychological techniques to evaluate its effectiveness. Una is yung observation. Second is yung user testing. Third is survey and questionnaire techniques. And fourth, analytical techniques. Nandito si heuristic evaluation. And lastly, si psychological measures. So, bali ayun lang po yung covered ng chapter 1. So, dito na po ako magtatapos. Maraming salamat po.